Alright guys, well, we're going to put the intake on today, but unfortunately the humidity is so high, I mean it's 70 degrees outside, that the metal is sweating, and I've actually got water down here in these mixed in with this oil, as you can see. So I'm going to try to clean this metal up and get the sweat off of it. Can't believe it's sweating in December, but every piece of metal in this shop's just drenched and just drenched. So unless I can get this dried up, we'll have to put this off another day. So I'm gonna take some towels and just wipe it down good. I'm gonna get in these valleys good too, make sure I get all this water out. And unfortunately it's also into this, and it's kind of mixed in with that break-in lube I put on my hickeys. I could run the heater and dry it out, I guess, but it's so hot in here that if I had a heater I could put like right up here on it, it would help, but it's got trash in here somehow or another. It's actually rusting, starting to rust my my heads. So I got to hurry up. I mean, this is, and the bad thing, I mean, you can see, look at all that. The bad thing is, even with the valve covers on, it's going to sweat. And this is the kind of stuff that you really got to be careful with when you're storing an engine for a long time, is you really want to store it in a good dry area. Out here in this shop, it's wide open and kind of under a tree. It don't get dry, and if it's been raining for several days, cold and rainy, and then all of a sudden it turns off warm, you're gonna have this issue. So be mindful of that. All right, so I got it wiped down. Got a little bit of rust starting right here, so I need to go ahead and get this covered up before it starts sweating again. Try to get most of this down. Rust out here. This is the engine block, and the heads were painted when I got them back from the machine shop, but you know, you can't protect against everything. Not a, I don't know what kind of paint they use for cast iron paint, just to keep it from flash rusting basically. So I mean, it ain't really made to protect against a lot of water. Alright, so anyway, I cleaned out the best I could in these valleys. I'm probably gonna go ahead and pour a little oil in here just to have some in the pan, because I don't have any in the pan. So I'll just keep that up. I'm gonna more than likely drain this pan before I fill it up, but this will kind of help mix with that water that's condensed inside that oil pan, and hopefully help keep it from rusting down in the bottom. And I drain it out, it'll probably be milky. I may have to flush it a little bit, but I want to go ahead and put some oil in here before I store it. I'm gonna go ahead and, once I get my intake on, hook my oil primer up and fill it up with oil. After I drain it, I got to get a filter. I don't have a filter for it, so that's going to be a little bit later. But anyway, I want to run that oil primer every now and then just to kind of flush the surfaces good. All right, so we're going to start with our intake manifolds, and if you can see, that says this side up. So that's what you want to do. You can see it. I don't reckon it really makes a difference which side is which, because both of them, I mean, if you put them together, they're identical. And cats laid on them, got hair all over them. So you just want to make sure you got them the right side, going the right way. And we ain't quite ready to just yet. I'm going to, even though it's got like a little sealing surface here, I always put RTV around all 4 of these water jackets. That's just the way I've always done it, and it may not really, I mean, you can get by without doing it, but that's the way I've always done it. I'm using this ultra black here because I really like this on intakes. And I'm just going to smear it on. It ain't got to be real thick here, just a good coverage all the way around that water jacket. You really don't want it really thick, because when you clamp everything down, it's gonna spread, and you're gonna end up with big globs of it in your intake if you ain't careful. The way I look at it is this may not be required, I don't know, but I look at it as extra insurance against this thing leaking out of this water jacket. And I'll put some on the other side of that intake manifold gasket as well. The next step is going to be putting some on the ends of the block. As soon as I can locate my knife. So on this, I'm going to use this little thing that comes with it. And on the ends, you don't really want to skimp. You are going to end up with it a little bit on the inside here. Shoot, I ain't where I want to go. But I like to put a pretty good bead . I may not have cut this off as much as it needed to be. I want to put a pretty good bead on each end of this thing. Now be careful over here on the back side, because there's a hole for your oil pressure gauge sending unit. You don't want to fill it up. Putting it around where it's going to meet. Now here's where you got to be kind of careful, because you want it to sit and be still and be where you want it to. It's going to end up with these tabs into that RTV you just laid. But you want your bolt holes to match up, because if they don't, and this is also where this RTV on the manifold gasket itself will help keep it where you want it. But if these don't match up when you set that intake on there, you're going to be in a mess. Alright, so putting the intake on, you want to make sure you got the right end going in first. Your thermostat housing is always going to go to the front of the engine on a Chevrolet. boat. Remember that they are some engine mounts that's going to go on here in different places, so be aware of that. And you don't want to move this intake too much, but sometimes you really ain't gonna have no choice. Take a screwdriver and kind of help line it up if it's off a little bit. I'm hoping that pretty much got it where it needs to be. The least amount of smear you can do, the better your seal's gonna be, and the less you're gonna have in your gallery. So I'll go ahead and get the rest of these bolts in. And a lot of people say, well, have told me that after I said I got some 12-point bolts, they said that's probably the worst thing I could have done, because these things will rust and you'll never get them off. They'll just be slick. And after talking to them, I was like, yeah, you're probably right. I probably shouldn't have, but I already did. So this is what I'm going with. And next time, I'll just get the hex heads if I ever do it again. But that's something else to think about when you're buying, if you're buying bolts. And I have just used grade 5 hex head bolts in here. Stainless works good if you don't want them to rust. So anyway, I'll get these remaining bolts in and I'll show you how we're going to torque them down. So that's our sequence right here. We'll start in the middle, go to the front, then do the backs, and then do the fronts. So we'll start with this one and do these two, and then we'll go up, and then we'll come back here and get these two, and then these two here. Now in the middle, I'm gonna have to use a wrench because I don't have a adapter that will get in here to that. So we'll use a wrench and get it as tight as we think we need to get it. So if I'm looking right, I'm gonna do this one and then this one. So these gear wrenches are so nice. Now I can get on with the back one and get my torque wrench. So the next set's going to be 5/6. I always wondered about them in the middle, whether I got them tight enough or not, but I'm sure they make a tool that you can put on these wrenches and tell. I can tell because I can tighten them up a little bit once I get the rest of them tightened. And that's probably not a good sign. I probably ain't got but maybe 15, 20 pounds on them. But anyway, that'll get the intake. And now I can go ahead and get my valve covers on and put my, I'm not going to put the distributor in yet. I'm going to go ahead and put the oil pump primer in. And still got a few little knickknacks to go. But she's coming along and hopefully be done before Christmas. So thanks for watching. And what happened when this stuff dries, I'll take my razor blade and I'll trim that RTV off where it won't look so ugly. And then we'll finish painting it. So hopefully it'll be quit damn sweating cat hair. Until then guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.